What do you say, guys? Welcome to Elephant in the Room here on Disrupt the Media and Roll Tide Pods. Roll Tide Pods, give us a thumbs up. Make sure that you like and share. Tell your friends about it. If you like talking Alabama, that's what we do here bi-weekly right now. We're going to try to keep that going, Jake Coker and I. But before we do that, I want to remind you that what brings us here today, what pays the bills is mybookie.ag, and use the promo code next round to get up to 50% price match, up to $1,000 on your initial wager. So maybe if you knew that the Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl, obviously you would have won some cash. Maybe if you would have said it went into overtime, think about all the money you would have won on that, right? But you can bet on NBA and NHL and college basketball and soccer and NASCAR, all that stuff there. mybookie.ag. All right, man. Let's bring him to the screen. Always great to see you, Mr. Jake Coker. Last show we did, we were pretty excited that Ryan Grubb was sticking around, and then he just absolutely effed up our show because that night, late that night, he decides to go to Seattle and work for the Seahawks.
Oh yeah. Well, I heard during Senior Bowl week it was probably a done deal.
Well, why didn't you say that?
Well, I thought I told you that off camera back. I mean, when we
we kind of had a feeling it could happen.
Yeah, someone
did we allude to it that maybe he was still leaving? Because I think we might have done that.
I think so, but yeah. I mean, Senior Bowl week, there's a lot of football people in town. Went to a practice and had dinner with somebody that would know, and they told me that it was probably going to happen. And he came down to Mobile last week and was still the OC and but still got, just had that feeling. And nowadays, if you got an NFL job offer, you're going to take it and leave college football. I mean, I'm sorry. You're just not going to.
You don't want to put up with the shit anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's too much for these coaches to have to deal with recruiting their own kids every year nonstop. And it kind of gets in the way of the actual technique of coaching and really being able to hone these guys in with discipline, because they'll just leave.
Mm-hmm. Something like that. We complain about the players, but the coaches have been doing this crap for a long time. There hasn't been a lot of coaching loyalty. And it's not, I mean, look, this could have been a plan by DeBoer, because at the beginning of when he comes in, everybody's rolling out. There was a real sense of urgency for Alabama to try to get things right. Grubb could have said, hey, you know what, I'll do this, but I might go to the NFL. But the perception is, hey, look, now they got one of the best offensive guys coming in with one of the great offensive coaches. And it gives, then all of a sudden you feel like maybe there's some stability. Maybe that's it, But this is constant. I mean, we've seen this at Alabama, where they use Alabama as an opportunity to get a better job. And it's not him, but I mean, not just him. I mean, shit, we've seen this for going on 10 years now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, college coaching to me is, I was frustrated with the way that coaches could up and leave in college as well. I mean, it wasn't just a recruit thing. I mean, to me, if you're going to recruit kids, it's kind of like Coach Saban retiring. If you're going to recruit kids, you need to be around to see that through,
Right.
And you're making promises and telling kids certain things. To me, if a coach signs a 3-year deal, he's recruiting kids, signs a 3-year deal, I think he owes it to the school and to the people that he recruits that he honor that deal. Now, I mean, if a school fires them, they've got to, give them a buyout. If coaches just leave, I mean, I don't think there's any ramifications there in terms of them losing out on money in which they've already earned.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches they've got free will to do anything they want in the NCAA.
I'm just pushing the elephant in the room to the middle. I don't even know if you guys can see
pushing
that.
It towards me. What am I saying? Something controversial?
No, you're not. I'm just going to tilt it down a little bit. Everybody wants to see the elephant. There he is. Look, he's right there.
Yeah.
His name's Tusk.
But does that not make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, you're, and especially when you've been on the recruiting side, or you have been recruited before, it's it's very frustrating to be told something and then a coach just leaves, a year or two in. Now, Damian was my quarterbacks coach, and he left for Auburn after, I guess, my second year, and then Coach Sanders came in. Which I love Coach Sanders to death. I've talked about him on this podcast.
You have a lot.
I don't know how many times, but to me, it'd be, as a coach, it'd be tough to recruit kids and then up and leave and take a job that you think is better. After telling these kids you're going to be there and see it through their whole college career. But things happen. People find better situations, but at the same time, your word's your word.
Well, it appears that and I've reported this on my YouTube channel, Bama Tailgate on YouTube, that Nick Sheridan is going to be the OC and Jamarcus Shepard the co-offensive coordinator. Heard some rumblings that Jamarcus Shepard may go to the NFL with Scott Huff and Ryan Grubb. I was worried that you lose Grubb, great perception, offensive mind, working with DeBoer has been really good. But Huff's the one that really hurts because I feel like the offensive line is an area where Alabama's just got to get better. I mean, I feel like the offensive line used to be such a strength for Alabama, and now all of a sudden it's inconsistent. Sometimes it's really good, and other times, you look at those guys and you're like, man, why can't we block? Why can't we snap?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, as much as the offensive game has changed, the defensive game plans have changed as well. You got a lot more. I mean, it's just not played the same way it used to be. And when you used to huddle up and you had more standardized defensive and offensive looks, I mean, I felt like it was scheme-wise easier to game plan. Now everything moves so fast. I think it's hard to be as consistent as we used to be. I mean, you think about the late 2000s, early 2010s. I mean, we used to have guys, they just line up and blow you off the ball.
Right.
Now I think it's a little bit more complicated, and you don't just go up to the line of scrimmage saying, all right, there's the mic. Here's what we got. Let's just maul these guys, just a lot more to it. And again, I think we have a lot of guys that play with that kind of personality, but at the end of the day, man, those guys that were early on in Coach Saban's career, Mike, those guys,
Mike Johnson,
were just animals.
Yeah. Yeah. Evan Neal was one of my favorite guys on the offensive line. I know he's more recent.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's a great player. I mean, we got great players. It's just syncing them up. And I mean, if you had, again, you think about
the funniest one was Alphonse Taylor. You've heard of Shank before. Gotta love that guy.
But no, I mean, it's all how we had a few, really young guys this year as well. And you think back to my senior year, I think we had Ross Piercebacher, who was a redshirt freshman, but outside of that, Cam Robinson was pretty young, but he grew up really fast. The big thing is just having a bunch of veteran O-linemen that understand the scheme, understand the communication between each other, been playing together for a long time. You think about the DJ Fluker, Chance Warmack, Steens, the Barrett Jones. Man, those guys, when they played together, they had been there for a pretty good bit of time, and they were extremely mature in that offense. And so, I mean, there wasn't much that you could surprise them with.
Right. Yeah.
And again, it goes back to some of the transfer portal stuff. Some guys you're going to have a hard time finding 5 O-linemen that played together, for 2-3 years consecutively.
Yeah. Is Ryan Kelly still in the NFL? Did I see that?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's just rocking and rolling up there, huh? What team's he with?
He's with the Colts. he yeah, he did well in the draft. Went, I think, 18th. It was either 10th or 18th. Did really well, and then his second contract was a 5-year, $50 million deal. So
nice. So he buys when you guys hang out.
no, he doesn't.
No.
His line is, "Rich don't stay rich by spending money."
That's pretty funny. He was one of the greats too. You got a whole bunch of greats.
Oh yeah, man. Ryan was something else. I know we've talked about it before, but came up with dad being a police officer, brother in the Naval Academy. Just a great family.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Had his twins 6 months ago.
Oh, really?
Oh,
congratulations.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he called me to tell me that they were pregnant with the twin boys, and I was standing on a mountainside in Wyoming FaceTiming him with a turkey on my back.
Oh, nice. How was that? That must have been a fun hunt.
Oh man, it was awesome. My little brother's a guide out there, and yeah, man, he hooked us up, hunted out there. It's just different than Alabama. You can see for miles. You can hear them unless the wind's blowing real hard. But
do you walk up on them?
You call them.
They come to you.
They start gobbling at you, and then you got to call them to you. They're a lot harder to kill in Alabama than they are in Wyoming. But
not to digress too much, but do you learn how to do can you do the turkey call like without the call? Because I've met some people that can do that.
I can, but I wouldn't trust myself to do it.
Because my grandfather used to tell me that turkeys are a lot smarter than you think. Like he said that, like first off, they can see anything. He said they could see like a tick moving on you. From miles out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, man, the instincts in these. Sometimes I'm like, they are so lucky and so dumb, just with a lot of instinct. And then sometimes I'm like, man, these things are. Because they're really hard to kill down here.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, you got to be very patient. It's a lot. Sometimes you'll get them fired up with no hens around them, and they'll gobble and come in. But it's hard to call one when they got hens, and then it's hard to get one in range if you say you're calling them and they can see where you are from 100 yards away, even if they can't see you. They're looking around, they don't see any hens, and just hear that noise. They're like,
yeah,
seen this before.
Yeah, right. Are you allowed to use decoys?
Yeah.
So you can use decoys, but you used to not be able to.
Yeah,
because when I used to turkey hunt, we couldn't use decoys, but I heard they changed that. So
yeah, I can't remember when that happened.
Makes it a little easier.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have decoys, you got to have the perfect setup.
Yeah,
you got to be when you call them. When you see them, they pretty much got to be in range. At least that's been my experience.
You know what my experience in hunting is? I see turkeys all the time during deer season, and I see deer all the time during turkey season.
That's right.
It's one of the most frustrating parts about going hunting.
And the worst part about the seeing deer during turkey season was they run off. The turkeys see it, and they're like, "Hang on now, what's going on?"
Yeah, right.
And the deer give you away.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm right there with you. That's always been the case for me too.
Yeah, so it's not just me. Coach DeBoer, what do you think about his next move? Like if he moves Sheridan up to OC, he moves Shepard to, a co-OC, whatever. One guy's calling plays, one guy's not. How big of a loss is this not having Ryan Grubb and Scott Huff? And then, are there enough good offensive line coaches? Because people are concerned about the quality of offensive line coach that's out there.
Man, I think this is worse than and this is my perspective. I don't know. Look, DeBoer's got his system in place. I mean, him and Grubb have been together for long enough to know how each other think and have been effective for a long time. I don't think they need each other to be successful offensively. But the problem is when you break off into meetings offensively, and then from a quarterback perspective, it's nice to have the OC in the room that jives well with the head coach, so that exactly what is expected of you, and there's no OC is not really filtering information between the coach and the players. It's really you're on the same page, and the message is the same. You've got a unified message, and the problem is though is just the optics of instability, which I do think is a big deal for players. You got coaches leaving and coming, leaving and coming, leaving and coming, and you need to find some continuity so that the players can look at one guy and that's it. I mean, it's like a quarterback carousel. I mean, guys are looking around, they don't know who the leader is. You just need to find that gear and just drive it home. But as far as who he's going to look for, I really don't know now. I mean, who's out there? What's the rumor mill right now?
I mean, basically those two guys are getting promoted, and then I don't know. And then I mean, they were talking about maybe Kirby Moore from Missouri, but I don't think he's coming to be the third guy, and plus he's got a pretty big buyout for an offensive coordinator or something. Maybe he's paid a lot. I don't know, but you're going to take the guys that you brought with you.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you think they're going to leave.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right.
You got to secure the staff you got.
Well, at this point you got to lock somebody down quick. And again, if for nothing else, just to get the players on the same page and be able to get ready for spring ball with the same group during spring ball as you had, that you will have going into the season, because we're getting, I mean, who right now does Michigan, who replaced Harbaugh at Michigan?
The assistant coach.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought. They already have the OC in place.
I don't know the entire Michigan staff.
Man.
Sharon Moore took over. They just slid Sharon Moore over. So,
God, isn't it crazy? The two best teams in the playoffs, or yeah, really the three best teams in the playoffs. I mean, there's everything's so up in the air with those three teams that you don't even know what kind of team you're looking at next year because of how badly their roster has been ravaged, their coaching staff's been ravaged. I mean, who do you even think would be in the top 10 right now?
Well, I mean, I guess that's why you're looking at
because you'd have to put Michigan and Alabama at the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Alabama, we seem to be in a worse spot than anybody in terms of, stability.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock. I think DeBoer's done everything he possibly can. You can't hold on to everybody when nobody, when Alabama is going to change in such a dynamic fashion.
Yeah.
To have Coach Saban around for 14 years and all of a sudden he's gone, and it seemed like it happened just like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Greg Byrne and DeBoer did everything they could to right the ship.
Yeah, I think they're doing it. I mean, it's just the way it goes right now. You just wish that the guy would have stuck around for a year, but maybe they always knew this was could happen, and you just do it just to kind of hold things down through that 30-day window of transfers. And when he first got there, having to deal with like, who is this guy, and and all that. I mean, maybe you got a good 30 days out of him, just to kind of help, or less than 30 days, whatever it was.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't think anybody really knew. I don't think anybody knew. I think Coach Saban was having a hard time, like we talked about earlier, recruiting guys when he knew he wasn't going to be around the next year.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. One of the reasons why people kept wanting reassurances from him.
Yeah.
Saban. And he was like, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And he felt like he was lying, so he's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is part of it. I mean, we still got one of the best coaches in football. There's people that think
arguably the best,
right?
Without enough evidence to back it up. But I mean, the evidence we do have is that in just a few short years, he had Washington in the national championship, which is insane.
I know. Keep hearing like there's just this Lane Kiffin crowd that feels like they should have hired him, and I just adamantly opposed that. I mean, just because of the stuff that the off the field stuff that just piles up. But like he's gone out and put together a pretty good team this year with the transfer portal and all of that stuff. Probably a good year not to have to play them in the regular season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially this year, this coming up year.
With all the other uncertainty that we have, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I just don't think that would have worked. I just don't. I just think there'd have been.
I don't know if
there've been so many stories that and stuff like that could have came out, and there've been a very divided group of people that are around the athletic department.
Yeah, I don't think that was ever going to be an option, to be honest with you. I think
you talk on that. I'm gonna slip outside. Just finish your thought there.
No, I think Lane's done a great job. I think he's done a great job of cleaning up, and I think he's got everything on the right track. I just Alabama, to me, needs a guy that is going to stay on the straight and narrow, keep as little attention on himself as possible, and build the foundation of the program from the ground up. And I think that's what you get with DeBoer. Guy that, man, I've met him twice. When you speak to him, just very professional. I think he's going to go out there and recruit kids, and kids are going to trust what he says, believe in him, see his track record. I think for skilled guys, he's going to open up a lot of doors around the country just because of his offensive mind. What he did with Michael Penix and those receivers out there, and you watch that game, and he put Washington in a chance to win, to me, with lesser talent. Few mistakes that they made that had gone their way, and they're right back in that game.
Right.
So it's hard for me to say that we should have taken anybody else.
I like the hire. I mean, I still think it was a great hire. I think that the guy did it.
The only thing that makes me nervous is the recruiting in the Southeast. I just hope that they understand the core recruiting pool needs to be in the Southeastern players, and kind of
they
like
will though. I mean, the Coach Womack. I mean, that's why you get him, right?
Yeah.
And he's going to get that. I mean, I don't think any of that goes unheard from DeBoer.
Yeah.
Like, he's here to win a national championship. Some people have gotten into the comments and they're like, hey, he could be going to the NFL. And I'm like, look, if he wins a natty, let's put his statue up and go and get your ass to the NFL. Let's find the next guy.
Oh, yeah.
But get the job done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I hope he stays, but you understand what I mean.
Oh, yeah. But I sit here and we talk about the NIL, and it's going to be hard to recruit guys without paying them a lot. But at the same time, whether you have to go for a player that's very disciplined, a little less talent, will come play at Alabama for a little less money, I think your foundation of players needs to be through high school recruiting and have guys that are playing together for a few years, much like we discussed with the offensive line. To me, that's how you have a more cohesive unit. I mean, you see in college basketball, they've got the one and done. And what you notice now is that you see like Kentucky. I mean, they built their program on one and dones. And then you see teams that have juniors, seniors that are still playing, not as talented a lot of times, but they've got so much chemistry on the court that they're able to beat those more talented teams because of the chemistry, the discipline, the just familiarity they have with each other. I still believe in that, and getting your talent from high school and developing that and building a good foundation. When you have holes and you know that you can't win at certain positions, bring those guys in. But when you start just recruiting transfer portal guys, you're piecing together a team for 1 year, and it's hard to get everybody on the same page in just one one spring season and then college football season. And I may be wrong. I mean, if Lane goes out and wins a national championship, then that'll, prove me wrong. But I just don't see teams built like that winning consistently over the next decade or however long this fiasco lasts.
Yeah, right. They got to get something figured out.
Yeah.
And I know that the NCAA and, the SEC and,
yeah, I mean, I'm just a big structure guy. I just don't think, just the wild, wild west. I think it's better for players, for their health, for their, just for the way they play, their performance. If you can get a guy in a program for 3 to 4 years, man, with familiar teammates, they're going to be a lot better off. And just understand that, again, man, it's not all about the money all the time. I get it for certain guys, but, man, it sure is nice and I've done the transfer thing. It's tough. It's tough to go from one place to the other.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, Nick Sheridan, his dad coached a long time in the NFL. He was the offensive coordinator for a couple of years at Indiana. It didn't go well, but DeBoer is going to be the coordinator. I mean, he'll be the overseer of the offense, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm
sure he'll
Ryan
help
Grubb was his guy.
Yeah.
And Nick Sheridan, I don't think DeBoer would hire him unless he had a lot of confidence in him. But you're trying to, again, piece together a staff for stability as quickly as possible. And DeBoer's got to be highly involved in implementing his offense. So, his hand's going to be right there in it.
Yeah.
And then Kane, to me, on defense, we're set with Kane Womack.
You're pretty excited about that, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be the opposite of what we're used to. Coach Saban standing on the defensive side of the ball at practice, and not having as much involvement in the offense, to where now we've got, a coach that's going to be offensively driven. And then you've got a former head coach who's been doing this for a long time. His family has been in coaching for a long time. And he knows what he's doing. Going to be able to recruit like crazy. I mean, he's networked so well in the Southeast. I don't know if you've met Kane, but just a great guy, and a guy that I'm just so happy to have represent Alabama.
What is his style on defense, Kane Womack?
What is his style on defense?
Yeah, like if you said, hey, this is, because I feel like with Nick Saban, it was crush the fundamentals. You want to win up front. You don't want to blitz a lot. Strong secondary. Linebackers were always a position that he seemed to develop really well. I mean, really, it's hard to say because everybody was good, Depth, but not blitzing. We didn't blitz a lot. Like,
yeah. Well, we didn't have to as much.
Right. We didn't have to, but we didn't.
Because when you had a 4-man front in Alabama, they were going to whip whoever was in front of them and get pressure on the quarterback. Might not always get a sack, but at least affect the quarterback, not allow him to set his feet and throw, have pressure right in your face to where you got to throw over people. Recruiting was the key to Coach Saban's success, and he did it better than anybody.
Yeah, that's right.
His scheme, at the same time, it was the most effective for the amount of talent that he had, and there was nobody who prepared for the players that he brought in more than him.
Right.
I think when he had a commitment from a guy, he was already scheming up how he was going to, play Florida or Tennessee in 3 years. I think in his mind, he was like, all right, this is, when we start going after smaller linebackers, play more nickel, this is how we're going to start playing. I don't think he could stop thinking about it. I watched that Belichick Saban special 2 nights. I'd never seen it. And I watched it 2 nights ago. And, man, it's so funny just seeing how obsessed he was with, his profession and just the dedication he put into it. He ate, drank, and slept football,
Oh, yeah.
But again, I think Kane comes in and does as good a job as possible with the cards he's been dealt this first year.
I agree. All right, let's talk Super Bowl. I know you're a huge.
What'd you think?
Well, you're a huge NFL guy. I'm just kidding.
I didn't even realize the rules had changed in overtime.
I knew they had. Stupid.
Well,
why would you kick the ball? Why would you take the ball when you could kick it off?
Yeah, I know. Well,
you ruined the whole game for yourself.
Well, I thought that I thought that it was still, if you scored a touchdown,
it was over.
It was over. Yeah.
No, they changed that a couple years ago after the Brett Favre. I think it was after
No,
Aaron Rodgers. So was
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
That's right. Yeah,
game.
That's right. You're right. Well,
but I thought they changed it once, where the opposing team had a chance if you kicked a field goal.
Yeah, they did change it like that. But I want to say it was like a Brett Favre game that it was an overtime, and then they changed it to where both teams would get a possession unless somebody scored a touchdown. Then that game happened.
Okay.
And then they changed it to say, hey, both teams have a chance.
Yeah.
But see, the 49ers messed the whole game up because you give them the ball first, because then you have 4 downs if they score a touchdown. Yeah. Why would you give them the ball?
Oh, yeah.
And this is like,
well, I knew when they had that, what was it, 2nd and 14, and they got the first down, I was like, this game's over. They're scoring a touchdown. You got no chance. But yeah, that makes no sense to me. I mean, it's like college. You do not want the ball first.
Wonder why they did that though. Like what was the, I wonder what the strategy was there.
I mean, I'd love to hear it, because
maybe that your defense was tired.
Oh,
I'll tell you what though,
there's no good explanation to me, in my opinion.
Mine either. I'll say a couple things. The Ravens were better than both teams, but they didn't win because there's a magic to winning in playoff games that's just different than the regular season. And I didn't look at that Chiefs team. They didn't have any good receivers hardly. Their running backs okay.
No, Patrick Mahomes carried them.
It's Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey, and the 49ers were just double teaming him at the line of scrimmage. They weren't letting him get off the ball. I loved it when he got mad at Andy Reid. That was great stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen his girlfriend over and over and over again. And now I'm like curious.
If I had done that to Coach Saban, I can't even imagine. Now, I mean, I was that'd be like, Derrick Henry doing that to Coach Saban, but I can't even imagine how Coach Saban would have reacted if a player had come up and bumped him and yelled in his face like that.
Yeah, and I know. Get me in the game.
Oh, man, it would have been.
But the NFL is different. I mean, look, you win a Super Bowl and,
Yeah.
Andy Reid, there's so many different things. Okay, Andy Reid was the guy that kept losing all the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
You remember when he was with Philadelphia, and then people wondered, like, is this guy ever going to win? And then they got rid of him. And he's been Mr. Stability the entire time.
Patrick Mahomes are the perfect match.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a mobile quarterback that can throw from every different angle,
right?
Throw in awkward positions. He can, Andy Reid can use all those motions and shifts and get Mahomes out on the edge and throw the ball accurately, throw it downfield accurately. I mean, it's just like playing quarterback. I mean, with the exception of Patrick Mahomes, because he's so good, but usually, and I've said this before, quarterback play is dictated on who's around you.
Yeah.
For the most part. I mean, head coaching it's dictated by the players you have.
Right.
And, that's all he needed was just a few elite players here and there, and especially at the quarterback position. I know he coached Donovan McNabb and some other guys, and they were great players, but Mahomes he may be the best, talent-wise, the best quarterback that's ever played the game.
Well, I mean,
And I
he's
mean,
definitely
Aaron Rodgers to me is the best thrower of the ball, but
right.
he can't move like Patrick Mahomes can.
Mm.
You know,
But Tom Brady beat him in the Super Bowl and beat him in the playoffs. Think
Yeah.
about that, man. Tom Brady beating this guy, and then gets out of the way, and all of a sudden now the show's his.
Oh yeah,
Because he knew the same thing. He knew how to win. Like as much as I like the Ravens, Lamar Jackson gets into playoffs and he can't make any of those plays.
Yeah.
This guy runs around in circles and then just flips the ball to the right spot and the guy catches it.
Yeah.
And just like Tom Brady, they don't even have to sign anybody that's a really great wide receiver because he makes everybody great.
Yeah. Well, that's
the crazy thing.
When I used to think watching the Patriots, Brady comes in and takes over for Drew Bledsoe and, has all this success. And I thought, Brady, I always thought Brady was, a great, phenomenal quarterback. But I also thought Belichick had most to do with that because I figured he created structure and culture there that would live on past Brady. But now that Brady's gone and you see Coach Belichick's obviously not the coach in New England anymore, I think most of that was done through Brady. His focus on the game and him structuring practices and discipline within that team just from the quarterback's perspective.
I think it evolved in that. Probably not at first, but it evolved that way.
Continued success was,
you're right,
had a lot more to do with Brady than it. I say that it had as much to do with Brady to me as it did with Belichick.
Yeah.
Those two, it was like having two head coaches.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And one that could get on the players from a player's perspective, and then Bill didn't have to handle as much on the back end as a coach. Because the best teams are teams where the coach doesn't have to discipline the players, where it comes from within the locker room.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
We talked about that before. I thought that first off, did you see the Super Bowl TV ratings were the highest, most watched program since the Walk on the Moon? There's like 60% of people watched it, and I got to give Taylor Swift credit for that too. There's people that feel like the NFL had a conspiracy to get this to happen. I honestly, I don't know, man. I'm not dismissing anything, with the way that the world
I think
works.
they had to.
Come on, man. Like that Ravens game, like Kelsey pushes the one guy and then they throw the flag on the other guy, and I don't know, man.
I saw
a lot of it seems so ironic.
I saw an interview with
they were mediocre during the regular season.
Yeah. I saw an interview with golly, what's her name? She used to be a UFC fighter.
Ronda Rousey?
No.
I don't know many women UFC fighters.
Anyway, she was talking about.
Do you get the fights?
I do.
You do?
Oh yeah.
I should have known that, man. Like if I never talked about it with you before, but
my oldest daughter loves them.
Really?
She'll sit there and watch them. Yeah, she's. It may not be the best parenting decision, but I haven't made too many good parenting decisions lately, as you know.
You had one accident. Don't beat up on yourself too bad.
But Paige Van Zandt, that's her name.
Okay.
She was talking about leaving the UFC, and she was talking about moving. I guess moving to LA or something along those lines. And she said she had a publicist and how they'd set up these dates with other athletes or celebrities, and it was mainly just to get clicks or get attention, and it'd be an article written or something like that. I think they for it to have lasted this long, I think it's real, but I think it was definitely a move to set up the initial meeting.
Yeah, I'll
concerted effort. The NFL has definitely loved it.
Yeah, the NFL has definitely loved it. I don't watch a ton of NFL, and I told you before. I cover college football every day, and then Sunday comes, and man, I just don't want to be locked into something else sports. You know, I want to go out on my boat. I want to be away from sports.
Oh yeah.
But the Super Bowl is fun, man. My buddy Boyd threw a hell of a party right across from the Floribama.
Oh
So it was
yeah.
great, man. Just like going down there, and he does it every year, and it's like perfect place for a party, and you know, kind of watching the game and stuff. Like gotten to know people that I only go to this one party, you know,
Yeah.
every year, and that's the only time I see these people. And we have fun, and just enjoy the fact that no one's really like hard into the game. It's more fun just like having people watching with where basically you're just playing squares.
No.
You know? Man, I'll tell you what, Taylor Swift, such a big star. You see where Big and Rich, you know, like the guy from Big and Rich was like, how come she didn't mention anything about Toby Keith? You know, he like started her career for her, like signed her like when she was a nobody, and then he died. And you love Toby Keith, I did too. And I've been watching these videos. Like, he's so brave for being in front of a camera as sick as he was, you know.
Oh yeah.
Because he didn't look the same, you know. And
it was heartbreaking seeing the later interviews.
The one that like he had one right before he died, and he's like, "Hey, you know what? This stuff isn't working. I'm going off
the
of
song,
it."
The song he wrote, his last song, "Don't Let the Old Man In."
Yeah.
You heard the story about
Clint Eastwood, right? Yeah.
How awesome is that?
It is, man. It is. My father died when I was in high school, young high school, and he was 40, 42, I think. And he looked like he was 100 years old, man, you know. And it's like when you get sick like that, you know, it's just like you deteriorate so fast. I thought of that when.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, he was younger. I mean, my grandfather, he deteriorated. It was so sad watching him lose much weight, and you know, such a tough, you know, old man. You sit there and think about it. I mean, he never complained, never talked about how bad or anything was. And,
right.
But also, you know, he was fighting in World War II when he was 20. And you think about the difference in culture nowadays than back then. I mean, guys coming to look for work fresh off a boat from the Pacific. Geez, just a different world. And I wasn't around for that, but I can't even imagine, you know.
Yeah. And I mean, it's terrible, you know. Dying isn't fun, and it's not pretty, you know.
Oh yeah.
But Big and Rich commenting like, why hasn't Taylor Swift said anything about Toby Keith? You know, it's like that Nashville like behind the scenes stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I've just wondered, like, you know,
it is crazy, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you know, it comes down to she probably wanted out of her contract, or it's something about money, you know. I mean, like, but yeah, it's just kind of a shame, man. I mean, you keep seeing her face, and she's chugging beers and stuff, which is actually pretty fun, you know. Like,
well, you know, I hate that. Man, I can't imagine how much she's got going on. I mean, apparently she was doing a show in Japan and then flying back for the Super Bowl, and I can't imagine. Again, I had a very small dose of limelight, and I mean, it was pretty overwhelming for me at times, and I can't imagine. She can't even go anywhere.
Yeah.
Without flocks of people coming to her from any part of any country. So,
what's lime like? Lime like in your beer? No, limelight. What's that like?
I mean, again, I was on a very, very small scale for a very short amount of time, but you know, it's kind of like me in social media. I don't like telling anybody what I'm doing. You know, what I'm up to. My business is my business, and I'm very private. So, I mean, definitely feel like you're like, why the hell is this happening? You know?
Yeah, right.
And you know,
she's the most popular person in the world, probably, right?
Oh yeah, she's got to be. I can't even imagine. Like, just go waiting on a flight, sitting there drinking a beer. Like, I just want to sit there and drink a beer and maybe strike up a conversation with somebody
comes
randomly.
over and they're like, why are you drinking that?
That's right.
And I used to work with Ron Sandberg. I've probably told you this.
You can't think that she can't even do that. She can't just fly. Of course, I'd much rather have 2 jets than fly commercially.
Oh, yeah.
But she's got it made. There's no doubt, but there's no regular experience for her anymore.
She wasn't worried about that $2 million to get one of the boxes at the Super Bowl. Is what you're saying? Like that was easy.
And
do you see that they were like $2 million bucks
flying around the globe to get there from a show she just played in Japan.
Yeah. Gotta get some rest because we're gonna be partying it up. NFL's got us.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just so interesting. Like just so many side stories with this Super Bowl. They made a ton of money. Did you like any of the commercials? Any of those stick out? A lot of people like the commercials. The Dunkin' Donut commercial.
I didn't. I'm having a hard time even remembering any of the commercials. I used to, when I was younger, I used to watch the commercials and love them. I used to love that Star Wars one where the kid was in the Star Wars, costume and trying to use the Force. This was back when Remote Start had just come out.
Oh, right.
You remember that? Kid
Yeah.
does that to the car and it starts, and he's like, you don't remember that?
I don't
commercial?
remember that one, but I remember. No, I don't. I remember that. Look, my favorite ones were the Bud Bowl. You don't remember those? Where the Bud Light and Budweiser cans would play a game during the game on the commercials.
Yeah.
And they commentated, "Hello, welcome to Bud Bowl III."
No, I remember those.
Here's Bud Ice. Oh God. Like this 40-ounce beer would just come in and run everybody over.
Yeah.
They stopped doing them.
I love the Budweiser commercials with the Clydesdales.
Yeah.
Those are.
You ever seen them in person before?
Yeah.
They're
yeah.
big,
I mean,
man.
I've seen. Yeah. I think I saw them. They used to have a Budweiser stable in like Six Flags in San Antonio. I want to say.
Nice.
And we'd go out to San Antonio, and they just we go see the Clydesdales in there. Maybe they weren't Budweiser. Maybe they were just random Clydesdales.
They were just some other ones.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't of beer drinking age, so I really wasn't worried about what kind of Clydesdales they were.
Who are these Clydesdales?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, good Super Bowl, man. It was great. I mean, to think that a missed extra point, like they blocked that extra point and it made it a 3-point game, and then after that, it was like, you knew when the Chiefs got it, they were going to tie it, and then they're going to go into overtime, and then, I thought the 49ers were the better team, but they just didn't win, and they didn't take advantage of the points that they needed to score at the beginning of the game when they were dominating.
Yeah. Well, the Chiefs just made plays when they had to,
Yeah.
There's there's 6 or 8 plays in a game that really decide whether you're going to win or lose. The muff punt, 49ers blew it.
Right.
I thought that fumble that the Chiefs had was going to be really detrimental to them. They overcame it. But the muff punt, that's to me, that was kind of the game changer.
Man, I know.
And I thought it was returner at first. I didn't realize it hit the other guy's foot. But man,
he had to do it. Yeah, that was a game changer.
Yeah.
And like in the Iron Bowl, they muffed that punt and gave Alabama the door, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, let's talk some basketball. Did you see the uniforms they're going to roll with on Saturday? The throwback.
I saw
shorts?
The promo video.
You saw it.
Well, I didn't see the actual. I saw them open the box. You may not have seen that, but a couple guys opened up the box and they're like, "Oh my god!" So no, I have not seen.
Oh, so they did another one with the video, like where they're wearing the shorts and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Like
white
black uniforms.
They're white, and they got like the old school elephant A.
I love that.
Yeah, jumping on the short.
If you're gonna have a different uniform, retro it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
retro.
the, you know,
it's the way to go. So they're white and this is crimson. It says Crimson Tide.
let me see.
It has the number in there. They're up to number 15 in the polls right now. They lost to Auburn. We knew that was going to happen. It was a really tough matchup for them, but they came back.
Not only did you know it was going to happen, you knew we were going to lose.
Yeah,
a pretty good bit. Like it was Auburn was.
They were due for a win like that.
Basketball, there's no other sport that's driven by momentum like basketball.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
And you just knew. I mean, kids camping out two nights before the game to get tickets, and you knew it was going to be just ruthless in there.
Great arena for basketball, really loud, and I just hope that Alabama builds their arena because when Nate Oates leaves, it's going to be a sad day.
We'll get left behind if we don't.
It's going to be a sad day when we go back to, Avery Johnson, Grant. What's that guy's name? Anthony Grant. Type coaches. I mean. And I liked I did like Coach Avery. I still do, but this is a different level of coaching, man. Like this is just different.
Yeah, I liked Coach Avery a
Hobbs.
lot. He was
Godfried, where you couldn't score points.
Yeah, I met Coach Avery after the Michigan State game. He came up and congratulated me. I thought that meant a lot to me.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Never met him before, and then he came and spoke to us several times, and you see why he's so successful. I mean, charismatic, get his team ready to go. I don't think Alabama was. I think it was a great hire for Alabama, but I don't know if he was really like, man, I'm so excited to take on this Alabama job after I've been with the Mavericks and all these other teams and
well, he was a commentator.
Yeah.
Was that a Bill Battle hire?
Had to have been.
Yeah, it was. I heard that he somebody DM'd him, hey, you should hire this guy. Like, no game plan. Yeah. And you got an athletic director now with a game plan. Yeah. You can see it. I mean, there's always a game plan.
Well, to go out and hire Nate Oates and everybody's like,
who's this guy?
Yeah, I mean, and then all of a sudden he lights the world on fire. You got a guy up there that's making decisions that are 10 steps past everybody else.
Yeah, right.
And that's why, again, DeBoer, he's got a good track record, but the fact that Greg Byrne hired him, to me, even further supports the fact that he's going to do well at Alabama.
Yeah. I look at this basketball team and there's weaknesses there, but they can score a ton of points, which to me is always the most important thing in basketball. I mean, I know that you got to play some defense, and they're not great at defense. They're undersized, but man, they score points. I mean, they score like 109 points on the road in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
They got Texas A&M coming in Saturday. They've got a tough road. They still got to go to Kentucky, which is not a great Kentucky team this year. They got to play Tennessee at home. They owe them some revenge.
I mean, college basketball has to be the toughest sport to win a national championship in. You got to win, what is it, 6 or 8 games in a row?
Yeah, 6 in a row, right?
Yeah, in order to win it all.
Yeah.
You can't have one bad game.
No.
And the issue, to me, what fears me and to me, basketball and football, I think you have to be really dominant in the most consistent forms of scoring possible. And to me, running the football in football is the best way to be dominant and win consistently. Right. Being physical and scoring in the paint is the most important key to being consistent in basketball.
Right.
And last year we had some dudes, playing down low. And we find when we played people last year, just the eye test, I felt like we won every eye test when we play a game. Bigger, stronger, more athletic than everybody we played. This year, I think we have a lot of really good athletes. If Grant Nelson can get to where he's dominating down there, I think that's the piece of the puzzle that finally puts us over the edge.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
like Estrada too, coming on strong. You know,
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Sears
this
scores
team's
all
just-
those points, but you got to play defense. You know, I
Yeah.
think that's the thing that Nate Oates says. I'm not saying you can take Sears off the court, but I mean, you know, like they're just not a defensive team.
Yeah.
And then when they get behind, and it's hard for them to get back in it. You know, like they're
because it almost seems like
in some of these road games. You know,
if we're off from the 3-point line, we're off.
We're off. Yeah.
If we're on, man, it's I mean, just we shoot okay. I mean, it's a pretty close game, but if we're on, man, there's no touching us.
Yeah. If you can win national championships on guard play.
Yeah.
You know, teams have done it. I think an easier way to do it is to be strong inside.
Yeah.
And then you win those grinded out games.
No, yeah.
Where you're under the basket and the ball keeps getting tipped up, and finally your big guy puts it through, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we finally Bediako last year
I
remember when he was a freshman and he looked so gangly and skinny and got pushed around. Then all of a sudden last year he turned into an animal.
Yeah.
You know, he probably gained 50 pounds while he was in college and turned into a dominant force down there. And he was one of the keys to success for us later on in the year last year. Carried some games, you know.
Yeah.
But you got to have some dominant just guys that are willing to just, be dirty and just trash ball players down there.
Yeah, right. Be physical.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Your Draymond Greens.
Yeah. Right.
He drives me crazy, but man, I'd love that guy as a teammate.
Yeah, right.
Just he may be an ass, but he's our ass.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, I'm with you. This is an interesting season because to me, I think Tennessee's the best team in the league. Right.
They got
destroyed
by Texas A&M.
Yeah, no.
I do agree. I think they're the best team in the SEC.
They're a really complete team, but it doesn't mean that they're going to win. And I think Alabama could win the regular season. Just got to finish strong. They're still in first.
Yeah.
I don't think they've played their best basketball yet.
Mm-mm.
The fact that Auburn beats us and then they go down and they get beat by Florida, which they never beat Florida. And then even though Alabama's got a tough schedule, they got whooped. Yeah, I mean, like it's a very winnable conference this year.
Oh yeah. I'm just glad to be in the conversation with basketball. I remember those years, especially when I was in college. I mean, we were not. Anthony Grant was there, and man, those were some.
Yeah,
it was. Levi Randolph was there, and he was a really good player. But outside of that,
is he still in the NBA?
I think he's playing overseas now.
Is he?
We took a lot of classes together, and he was a really good guy, really good player, really good guy. But man, you felt like he was doing everything he could to get us over the finish line.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. This is the first time we've had like legitimate teams. It's a shame that they haven't really gotten that run in the tournament yet. You know, where they.
Man, that San Diego State game last year. I remember,
man. You can tell by the way that they're officiated.
Oh yeah. I mean, the worst part about it when you finally have your team is going to go deep, and they lose in the Sweet 16. It's like I'm out. I don't even want to watch it anymore.
I know. Or they're the number one seed.
Oh yeah.
And then this year, like a lot of times you see teams like that are the number one seed and they blow it in the tournament. And then they come back the next year and they're like 4 or 5 seed. And then they make a huge run.
Oh yeah.
Because of the pressure, like, hey, the pressure was there last year. You didn't do anything with it. This year, you don't have any pressure.
Oh yeah.
And then you're
that underdog mentality is a hell of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a drug,
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll be watching that, obviously as the coaching staff comes together. And I'm excited about practice starting, spring practice into the 8A game.
I'm going to go to I haven't been to any spring games or practices in a while. I think I'm going to go this year, just to see how everything's kind of changed. I'm really interested to see how the structure of how everything is run changes.
Will you be on the sideline or will you be in the stands?
I don't know. I mean, I'll probably. If
could you
I'll
pull
go
some
to a
strings?
practice to watch, but spring game I'll probably be with, just hanging out, having a good time.
Yeah. Okay.
Playing that A club. There's an A club golf tournament the day before. A bunch of former players play in it, and I'll probably go to that, and then go to the game the next day. But
make a weekend out of it.
oh yeah. That last A club tournament I played in, played with Denzel Duvall, Marquise Mays, Matt Caddell, and Josh Chapman. Man, we had a hell of a time. And you remember all those guys?
Yeah.
Oh man, and Chap.
I met Chap at one of Baron Huber's parties back in the day.
Oh man, Chap's great. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hang out with him long, but he was making me laugh.
He's just a Hoover, good old Hoover redneck. A great guy.
Yeah.
You gotta love him. I've had a lot of fun with him over the years. I didn't play with him, but I just got to know him. He came back to Alabama, started working in Alabama on my last year there. And he's just one of those guys that if you hang out with him, you cannot, if you dislike him, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, right. It's you. You're the issue.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right, final topic today. It's Fat Tuesday, which means that Mardi Gras is over tomorrow, even though the kids are out of school all week.
Yep.
Different topic, but do kids even go to school anymore?
Well, every school's always been out for Mardi Gras down here.
Well, we're out for everything down here. Like, next week will be like a spring break, and then next week after that, it'll be like a teacher thing. Like, where was this when I was going to school? We actually had to go to school to learn, and there was it was a lot more days of doing it. Like it's just it wasn't like it is now. Like you're like, you're going home right now. So what are you going to give up for for Lent? Do you do that?
I say I'm going to do it, and a lot of times I don't follow through. But,
you don't,
huh? I don't know what I'll give up. Honestly, don't.
Okay. Well, think about that. You got. What
are you giving up?
Last year I tried to stop cussing. So that was
that lasted 2 days.
The effort didn't. It didn't. But maybe the results weren't great. But I may try that again. Like just see if I could.
We ought to share a swear jar.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah,
there'd be a hell of a party.
We'd have a free trip to Key West after that.
Right. I miss I saw my Key West friends at the Super Bowl party. That's who I went with. And everyone's already planning on the next trip. Like, it's time to get back.
Where y'all going today?
What's that?
Where y'all going today?
Oh, we're going down to Mardi Gras.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, we're gonna
go. If y'all are going out of town or
not? No. Just got breaking in a new babysitter. So
I hear you.
Make a small trip the first day. Just make sure everything goes good, and then do something tomorrow.
I like my favorite. Do
you guys have parents that babysit?
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, my parents are. My in-laws are babysitting all-stars. I mean, they're
great.
Yeah. But I don't. We might take. I think we're going. My little brother-in-law is riding tonight in the Double OM's parade.
Oh, nice.
So I think I'm going to take my daughters down there and let them see. Well, my oldest will know what's going on, but let them see him load up on the float and all that, and then get my daughter out of there before the stuff starts flying.
Yeah, right. All the junk, and I'm too competitive, man. Like I get down there and I'm like, I don't need bags of beads. I don't need moon pies, but then when it starts to fly, I want it. You know what I mean?
Hey man, you better be careful that for anybody who has not been to Mardi Gras parades and is planning on going, man, better watch out those later parades, man. People start throwing. There's a kid at St. Paul's who just got his teeth knocked out by one of those bags of bundled.
Yeah, beads. Why do people do that?
And just get hammered and start
start throwing stuff. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, you'll see like a whole bag of beads. Like,
oh yeah,
I know what you're
like
talking
a
about.
5-pound weight being thrown at you.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And it's almost you see somebody and they think they're doing you a favor by slinging everything they got at you, but you're like, wait, oh man, calm down. It's all fun, and it happens. You just got to be, you just got to pay attention.
Yeah, if you lose your eye, I mean, you just did it in a having a good time. So no, I'm just kidding. You hope none of that happens, but
yeah.
Well, you got to think about it. Did you have your king cake this year?
My daughter ate a ton of king cake this year.
They are delicious.
Oh yeah, I love Mardi Gras. I mean, I'm not involved in any organizations, but it's awesome to go downtown, especially like the week leading up to Mardi Gras, and it's all starting to get exciting. And there's good places to eat downtown.
Love the music, man.
Oh yeah, all the brass and stuff playing.
Yeah, it's great. All right, well, let's get back together again this week and keep it going. But great to see you. And I want to remind everyone a couple things. First off, we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Use the promo code next round to get up to 50% price match to $1,000 on that initial wager. You got college basketball. Don't forget the basketball tournaments are coming up soon. I mean, we're halfway through.
When does the SEC tournament start?
It's a second week in March, maybe.
Is it that late?
Yeah, maybe the first week. I don't have it up here, but it's coming. You got normally it's like that first weekend in March, right? Where the men's tournament is. But you got the tournament, the SEC tournament, and the NCAA tournament. Bam's going to be in both of them. The NBA, NASCAR, soccer, whatever you guys want to, have some fun with, do it at mybookie.ag. And don't forget, if you need any help doing it, talk to my man over at lanceslock.com. Lance's Lock's got you covered with, all of the information that you need to make informed wagers. And I think information is the key to victory.
Did you have the Chiefs last night?
I don't know if he did. I
probably did.
I thought the 49ers were going to win, but I didn't put any money on it because it wasn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet against Patrick Mahomes.
But last time I bet against Washington over and over and over again all year long and took them in the national championship, and they lose, of course. And then I
remember that.
Oh yeah. And then I, kind of the same thing with the Chiefs. I was going to take them last night. I was like, I'm not going to get Washington again. And then the outcome was the opposite, which usually is how it goes for me.
The not a lot of times in Super Bowl history have you had like a rematch. You had it with Dallas and the Steelers back in the day.
Yep.
Terry Bradshaw and Roger Staubach. I think Roger Staubach Cowboys might have been maybe Danny White, but it was definitely Terry Bradshaw. Then Cowboys and Bills played back-to-back years.
Yeah,
Cowboys won
both.
Yeah, Cowboys won both of them, and then this. Now you've had rematches that were the same teams but different players.
Yeah,
but I mean, for the most part, I mean, these are the same coaches, same teams, and all that stuff. So it's interesting that the same team wins most of these rematches.
Oh yeah,
Steelers beat the Cowboys twice, Dallas beat the Bills twice, and now the Chiefs beat the 49ers twice. It sucked to lose to the same team.
Yeah, I hate it for Brock Purdy because he's going to catch the brunt of all that, and I'm sure there'll be a QB controversy next year and all that when he'll probably still be the quarterback and have to listen to that all year long until he wins one.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll have a great Mardi Gras. And again, we will talk to you soon again for Disrupt the Media and Roll Tide Pods. This is Elephant in the Room.